Good afternoon folks, welcome to Visordown. My name's Toad and today we are in Portugal riding the new 2023 Honda XL750 Transalp. So we first clapped eyes on this bike at EICMA and ever since I saw the thing I've been itching to get a go. It's quite poignant actually because just before Christmas I got to ride the Honda Hornet, which of course has got the same brand new, all new parallel twin 270-degree crank engine that is shared with that and the Transalp. So this was a really good test for me because I enjoyed the Hornet, it's a great bike, but I really wanted to see how that power plant would fare in this middleweight adventure tourer and see how it handled. So quick overview of the entire bike actually. £9,499 to UK customers, and there are accessory packs available for urban touring, adventure, rally, whatever you want to do really. We've got the 90 bhp engine in this that's tuned specifically for the Transalp, so it's got a slightly longer intake trumpet. The exhaust has been tweaked as well, and that's to do with both the delivery of the engine to create a bit more of a low end and mid-range delivery over the Hornet, but also to change the sound of it, which is very, very interesting because it does sound very different to the Hornet. Hornet's much more raspy, this has got a much deeper, bassier tone. Got 55 pound-foot of torque, which on paper doesn't sound much, but on the road it actually seems like quite a grunty little thing. And of course we've got the 270-degree crank to give it that nice offbeat fire in order. We've got a 6-speed gearbox on this, no quick shifter as standard. There is some other stuff in the class that gets a quick shifter. These ones have got a quick shifter fitted to them for the launch and some other accessories, the crash bars, the hand guards, the barefoot pegs and so on and so forth. But 6-speed gearbox, quick shifter on these ones, but you don't get that as standard on the others. So we've got full electronic suite, rain, road, standard, sport, you've got a user mode, and you've also got a gravel mode, which is interesting because they've not called it off-road, they've called it gravel, which I think is just to hold back the off-road connotations of the bike just a tiny bit. So I'm going to go through it in a bit more detail now. I'm going to start off by talking about the engine in this. It's thrilling in the Hornet. It's got this buzz as it races up to the red line, and that's kind of still there, but what you've got is a tractable usability at low RPM and sort of low to mid-range RPM that makes it really, really easy to ride. It's extremely accessible. The throttle connection is crisp and clean. That was something that you know, is so important on a bike of this class. You've got to get the throttle connection, you've got to get the fueling of the bike right, and you've got to get that delivery that just makes you want to go out and hit some trails or go and cruise down a twisty B road, and it does that. They've absolutely nailed the tune of the engine. It's fairly vibe free. We had about 10 kilometers on the way back to the hotel this afternoon after our final photo stop, and we were tanking along fairly quickly because we were all quite thirsty and wanted to get back to the hotel. And I was surprised to say that it's really quite vibe free. It was less vibey than the Hornet that I rode just before Christmas. All good on that respect. You could sit on it for long periods of time and not get white fingers. There's no vibes through the pegs or the handlebars or the seat really to speak of. So that is all good on that front. So sitting on top of the bike here, we have got a 16.9 litre fuel tank, which is kind of not class leading, but it's there or thereabouts for this model. And Honda are claiming that you can get 230 miles on the tank. That is with a quoted fuel consumption of 4.4 litres per 100 kilometres. On this press launch, riding as you do on a press launch, I got just under 7 litres per 100 kilometres. So that 230 miles, if you're going to ride like that all the time, is completely out the window. I think you'd have to take it pretty lethargically to get that quoted 230 miles out of the thing. I'm going to move on to one of the standout things that I've taken from this press launch, and one of the things that I've learned about the new Transalp, that is its handling. This thing doesn't handle like any other adventure bike that I've ever ridden, be it a lightweight, midweight, or a big, heavy, full-size adventure bike. It's probably the best handling adventure bike I've ever ridden for road riding. The suspension, you've got shower suspension at the front, you've got shower at the rear, you've got 15-step preload adjustment at the front, you've not got anything else, and you've got 5-step preload adjustment at the rear. The suspension for road riding is absolutely sublime. It's beautiful, and we were hammering along this, and this it does not handle like a bike that's got a 21-inch front wheel. It turns quickly, it's not sharp, but it turns quickly, but it just flows from one corner to the next with this really, really beautiful poise that you don't normally get in this class. Adventure bikes are normally a bit more, they go for the off-road side of things and they go for the adventure, and that kind of makes them a bit gash off on road. But Honda have nailed it. This thing is really, really nicely poised and balanced on the road. You've got a little bit of dive on the forks, on the brakes. It squats a little bit under acceleration, but that's just to remind you exactly what the bike's doing and what it's working and how it's working and what it's doing beneath you. I've got to say another massive, massive high five to Metzler. We took it out this morning and it was road riding up until the first photo stop, and then it rained after the first photo stop, and then we did our off-road riding, and then we were back on the road again this afternoon. It was bright sunshine. So we've had everything, including rain, sunshine, fog, whatever. Those tyres are witchcraft. They feel a bit like race cut wets in the amount of grip that you've got, the amount you can take the piss on the brakes into corners. You just point it at the apex of the corner, steer it round, open the throttle, off it goes. It doesn't really, it just feels unflappable on that respect. Massive, massive thumbs up to Honda, because that's all to do with the chassis, the weight distribution of the bike, but those tyres as well. They're bloody good, and they're OEM fit tyres. They're not aftermarket ones. They're the ones it comes with. And they handled all we did on the road and all we did off-road, all that abuse without even flinching. It was bloody brilliant. I'm going to move on to the comfort. A lot of people are going to look at this thing and they're going to be wanting to go touring, adventuring, weekends away, 1 up, 2 up, whatever. It is supremely comfortable. The ergonomics of it, and I mean this is Honda, so Honda should really get things like ergonomics right, are absolutely on point. For me, I'm 5'7", and there is not another adventure bike in the universe that I can flat foot on the floor, yet I can on this thing, which is absolutely awesome. Not just that, the upper body ergonomics. The rider triangle from your arms to your back to the seat to the pegs is really nice and neutral, very, very relaxed, and you feel like you could ride this for absolutely days. While I've not been on the back of it for an actual ride, my mate was sat at a coffee stop earlier just before we pulled off, and I hopped on the pillion seat just to see what the size of it was like and where the grab handles were. And it's bloody massive. There was about, if I moved all the way to the back of the pillion seat on this back, there was a good 6-inch gap between me and the rider of the bike. So there's plenty of room for you to move around, find your space, get comfortable, and still hold on and enjoy the ride. So big thumbs up to Honda on that front. I'm going to talk about the electronics. It's a tale of two halves, really. While Honda aren't really pinning this as being the ultimate middleweight adventure bike for off-road riding, it can obviously do it. Now, the electronic system that it's got has got a lot of the toys. It's got a gravel mode, you've got your Honda selectable torque control that you can turn off the ABS to the rear wheel, and you've got your engine power modes and all that good stuff hidden within the lovely little TFT dash. When we were on road and you had it in, say, a rain mode setting, it was raining, so I wanted to test out the rain mode. I put it in the rain mode setting, and the traction control was very intrusive. I know it should be, because if you're putting it in rain mode and it's raining, then you're somebody that needs that safety net. But even accelerating fairly briskly in a straight line, you could feel the bike holding back the power from reaching the back wheel. When we took it off-road, Honda had put the bikes into a specific user mode where they turned the engine power up but lowered the traction control to the minimum level without turning it off. And we rode about 6 or 7 kilometers off-road before we got to the photo stop to do our off-road tracking. I found the traction control then frustrating, because all I wanted to do was get the bike to tighten a line in a corner. It was quite slippy and quite gravelly, so the back end should have lit up nicely and just come around and pointed the bike where I wanted it to go. It wouldn't do any of that. Even on the lowest setting of traction control, there was no slip from the back wheel, whatever. I mean, it's kind of indicative of the bike. It's not built as a KTM 890 beta that you're going to go and take on world raid rallies and stuff like that. It's more of an adventure touring motorcycle / commuter weekend warrior that you can go off-road, or you can go light green laning on, and that shows in the electronics. Something like a KTM's electronics are massively, massively more trick than what you have here. So we're going to go through what we like about the Honda XL750 Transalp. I love the styling of it. I think Honda have done a great job. I was worried when they were talking about this bike and about it arriving that it was just going to be a CB500X clone with a 750 engine, a little bit like the Honda Hornet is. Don't tell Honda that I said that. It's not. I think it looks individual. The graphics are absolutely stunning. The gold wheels look great. These ones have got some accessories on, like I said earlier, but I think they really add to it. They'd probably be on my list of wants if I was going to put my name down on one of these things. So I think styling, absolutely bang on. The next one, the on-road handling of it, I can't describe to you how bloody good this feels on a decent twisty road. It just flows from corner to corner, just makes you smile. It's playful, yet stable. It feels to me like Honda have found the holy grail because they've got a bike that's got feather light steering, yet has got really good stability. But then it's got this sporty composure when you really push on, but it's not jarring. It's kind of like they've got all the best attributes that you'd want from a bike like this, and they've managed somehow to get them in a bundle. And the final thing that I really enjoyed about the Honda Transalp was the comfort. I think if you're looking at this bike, you're going to be someone who wants to go travelling. You're going to be someone who wants to go on a bit of a motorcycle adventure. And the fact that you can do it in such extreme comfort is brilliant. What don't we like about the Transalp? I haven't really thought about the answer to this question, and it's probably harder to find things that I don't like about the bike than I do. It's not things that I don't like about the bike, it's things that maybe are missing. I would want maybe a little bit more adjustability in the Honda selectable torque control. So if you want just the minutest bit of traction control in there, you could have it without, you know, totally removing it altogether. And again, if I was being really, really nitpicky, it doesn't come as standard with a quick shifter, whereas some other stuff in the range does. And Honda will say that that affects the price of the bike and therefore the competitivity of it. But, you know, I think a bike like this should really have a quick shifter when it's got all that other tech included on it. So there we have it. That's the Honda Transalp. I mean, to sum it up, I'm going to just go back to something that I said earlier. For me, after riding it today on these roads, this is the best handling adventure bike that I've ridden for road riding. It just puts such a smile on my face. Yes, the off-road capability of it is not what some of the bikes are, but that doesn't stop it from doing any of the things that the other bikes can do. It can still get over the same obstacles, it will still go through the same river crossings, and it will still get up the same rutted, muddy tracks, but it just doesn't do it with quite as much composure as the other bikes in the segment. You just need to work a little bit harder, and probably if you're going to take it on some more extreme trails, be a bit more of an accomplished rider. A bike like a KTM 890 Adventure really flatters the rider. You can basically do whatever you want on it, whether you've got any skill whatsoever, and you'll get to the end of where you're going. This, you'd have to work on it, but I can totally forgive it for the way that it handles on the road, because let's face it, who rides one of these off-road all day? Well, listen, I've waffled on for too long. I've been towed. This is Portugal, Honda Transalp. They are going to be in dealers very, very soon. And if you'd like a test drive on one, contact your local dealer or head over to the Honda website. Thank you very much, folks.